All right, we got everybody in here. We got a real treat for you this morning. We've got Coach Bob Kamel to speak with you. He just did a great presentation to your athletes. It was just wonderful. I'm sure they've got something out of it and become a better person from that. But Coach Kamel has been an NCSA recruiting expert for more than 20 years in collegiate recruiting. He's coordinated recruiting efforts for legendary Lou Holtz, Bo Schembechler, and Lee Corso. He was named top 11 recruiting coordinators of all time by Tom Lemming. Let's give a big hand to Coach Kamel.
Hey guys, I'll tell you, and this morning, I don't know who raised all these kids that came in here, but I told Dane, I've never been around a more attentive bunch of young guys before. And I know it's not the old day where you say it to everybody, it's not the truth. I mean, they were really something. You guys should be very proud, especially 8 o'clock in the morning. I know sometimes that gets a little bit early. A couple of things. First of all, my name is Bob Kamel. I was a high school football coach in Chicago years ago at the high school that I went to. I grew up in the city, right in the city, but I played at Fenwick High School. And then when I was done with the college football and done with the Army at that time, I went back to Fenwick and I had a chance to coach there. And while I was coaching at Fenwick, Coach came in to recruit one of my players. Coach's name was Bo Schembechler. And the player he was recruiting went to Indiana, and I went to Michigan. And I was a graduate assistant coach at Michigan for 3 years. And I went to Northern Illinois with Coach Corso, then with Francis Pay for 2 years at Northwestern University. And then Bo brought me back to Michigan, and I was at Michigan for about 15 years. And when Coach retired, I went to Notre Dame, and I had a chance to coach at Notre Dame under Coach Holtz, and I was a coach there for 7 years with Coach Holtz. And the reason why I'm telling you this is not to embellish somebody who just happened to get lucky in this profession. I'm telling you this because every stop I made along the way, I was also the recruiting coordinator. So I coached linebackers, I coached running backs, I coached tackles and tight ends, but I was always the recruiting coordinator. I am no smarter than anybody in this room. I was president of the C student group. You know, George Bush said that at a Yale graduation, so I had to piggyback on that with him. But why I say that is, the reason I know more about recruiting than you do is because I went through it 26 times. 26 times. As a high school coach, as a college coach, as a young guy. If today I can give you some knowledge to have your son one day use football to pay for his education, then we've had a successful morning, and that's my goal. And not to play college football necessarily, but to be a college graduate. Be a college graduate. That is ultimately the goal. Because one day, football is over for everybody, even Brett Favre. Maybe. Maybe. Yesterday, when they were announcing these coaches here at FBU, every time I do one of these FBU events and I see these guys stand up and I look at their resumes, I could take this coaching staff right here tomorrow, go to any college in the country, win the national championship. I could take this coaching staff right here and go play in the NFL and win a Super Bowl. These guys that that are being coached by your young guys, this is the Mercedes-Benz of this. This is the Cadillac. I don't know what kids say now. This is the Ferrari or whatever. This opportunity that they have to be coached by these men at FBU is special. This is the premier high school, junior high football camp in the country. Nothing gets better than this. And my hat is off to each and every one of you for selecting FBU and exposing your sons to these young men that were up here and introduced yesterday. FBU. And I told your sons, know every single bit of knowledge that one of these men is going to share with you. They've done it all. They've seen it all. And what a great opportunity. And I'm going to start my little talk here today by showing you just a little video. I coached for 26 years. I recruited all over the country, all four corners of the United States of America. Whether you're a mom, a dad, an aunt, an uncle, a foster parent, grandmother, grandfather, my hat is off to you. This is not a football talk. And you know what? It's not a volleyball talk either, or a softball talk. This is a talk about education. You are going to go through this process one time, and the day after signing date or the day after graduation, you don't want to have any regrets. You have to be realistic, and you have to understand that it's not where you go to school, it's what you do with that education when you get it. And I'm going to tell you something else. When Illinois plays Northwestern on a Saturday, and North Central College plays Illinois Benedictine, do you think that's any less important to those people? No, it's about being a teammate. It's about getting an education. It's about going off into the world with the lessons in life that you have learned, regardless if your helmet is orange and blue. And if you can take athletics and use it to get an education and get the finances through athletics to have your education paid for, that is just a marvelous, marvelous combination. Because you know what? Every day at our offices, there's a big gold bell. And when one of our scouts or one of our recruiting coordinators finds out that a young man or a young lady has committed to a college or university, somebody gets up and rings that bell, and those offices go wild. I'd like one day that somebody in our office rings that bell for your daughter or for your son. We do literally have this big gold bell in the office. And when a young person calls in and says that they've committed to a college or university, we ring that bell. Last month, in football only, we rang that bell 1,000 times. 1,000 times. And that, to me, is what's very critically important for you to understand, that you are going on a journey now, and you're going to need help. You're going to need direction. And as I said before, hopefully I can provide that for you. You know, every year when I go through this speaking cycle, so to speak, it is coming to an end now because your sons are going to start going back to their own high schools, to their own junior high schools. Okay, and then we start to kind of close it down as speakers just a little bit. But every year when I'm done, I do the same thing that I did in football. I evaluate what I did. I used to evaluate myself offensively, evaluate yourself defensively, evaluate yourself as a recruiter. And I was sitting in my office thinking about, you know, going all over the country and talking to families. What can I do? What is another thing maybe that I can put in front of them to show them how important this is? And as I looked around my office at home, I saw great pictures. 14 Big Ten championship team pictures. Picture with Desmond Howard when he won the Heisman Trophy. Pictures of guys I played with, standing on the sideline with Lou Holtz, standing on the sideline with Bo Schembechler. And all of a sudden I saw this one picture. And I said to my wife, Ann, I said, Ann, you got to take that picture out of the frame. You got to get copies made. You got to get it laminated. I'm going to take it all over the country with me. And I'm going to show you that picture here in a second. Okay? And that's it right there. Nobody in that picture has a football uniform on. Nobody has a jersey on. Nobody has a helmet on. That ultimately is the uniform that you want your son to be in after his college days are over. Every one, that picture is 10 years old, every one of those young guys is doing something great in his life. And every one of those guys had their education paid for through football. Some of you may even recognize this guy, Richards High School, Jim Jones. Right now he's a college football coach. Ronnie Nix is an ordained minister living in Texas. On and on. That ultimately is the picture you want your son to be in. And that's why I do what I do. Now, before we get into the little booklet we gave you there, the 5 and 5, it's important for me, for you to understand that there are 3 components in the recruiting process that are critically important before you even start to think about letters, about mail, and things like that. And how I arrived at these 3 things was Dave Kaplan. Some of you know Dave. Dave does WGN, Chicago Sports Live, Chicago Tribune Live, does the Bulls, does the Bears, and he's a great friend. And he called me and he said, Bobby, I want to have you on my radio show. You're done with active coaching. I want you to talk about the recruiting process, but I only want you to talk about 3 things. You need to tell me what the 3 most important things are. And as I was driving from South Bend to downtown to the WGN building, I started to think about what are these 3 things? Why did I recruit one guy and not another guy? What did all of my guys that played for me and that I recruited, what did they all have in common? And I thought about it and I thought about it. I thought about Jarius Jackson, thought about Ronnie Nix, Corey Minor, guys like that. What separated them from guys we didn't recruit? And it really came to me that it was 3 things. 3 things. And I'm going to start with number 3, go to number 2, and then go to number 1. The third most important thing, and these are the things that I talk to your sons about today. You got to play hard on every single play starting today because you never ever know who is watching. And the one play you take off may be the only play that that college coach sees. You may have a great game, but all of a sudden you're winning 30-0 and you kind of go on cruise. No, you got to play hard on every play. So many times we would be in the recruiting office and coaches would come in, they say, Bob, who are we looking at? So looking at number 39 here in the blue jersey. And we're watching the guy, and coaches are evaluating the guy, the young guy, writing things out. Also, one of the coaches raised his hand and said, stop, oh, Bob, hang on. Stop the projector. Why? Who's 31 in the white jersey? Well, I don't know. Well, we better find out. Why, Coach? That kid is all over the field. All over the field. Next stop, my office, call his school, find out who he is. You got to play hard on every play. Number 2, I told your sons this, you have to be the best student that you could possibly be. And I'm telling you as parents, don't you accept a C grade. Don't take it. I said to them, how many of you guys want to be mediocre football players? Raise your hand. Obviously, no hands went up. How many of you want to be mediocre students? No. You do not accept a C grade. Why? Because I'm going to tell you the magic number for a college coach when he gets a transcript, the light goes on when it says 3-1, 3-2, 3-3. And when I recruited, and I had 2 guys of equal ability, I separated them with their transcript. Because as the young guys do, they use a term called taking care of business. When I see a good transcript, I see a young guy who's what? Taking care of business. And that's the guy that I want. Don't you take a C grade. Time goes by too fast. It's like yesterday I dropped my daughter off at kindergarten. Last June I walked her down the aisle. It went this fast. A C grade is not acceptable. And number 1, they better possess great character. They better possess great character. This has been the worst 2 years for college football in the history of the NCAA. You see it every day. ESPN, Chicago Tribune, ABC, NBC. Guys are in trouble. This guy's doing drugs. These 2 guys were shot. On and on. Those days are over. College presidents aren't going to put up with that anymore. They want to bring young guys to campus, and they're telling athletic directors to tell coaches, you bring young guys to this campus that are going to be a credit not only on the football field, but be a credit in our campus community. And I tell your sons, you're here because somebody loves you. Somebody cares about you. The way you give back to that person, whoever it is to be the right kind of person. And not only be the right kind of person, be around other young guys that have same types of goals. Don't let some joker who has nothing to lose change the course of your life, young man. Don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And some of you have heard me talk before. I talk about a young guy in the southwestern part of the state of Michigan. I was recruiting him to Notre Dame. And it happened to be Notre Dame. It could have been Illinois Benedictine. It could have been anywhere. North Central College. His life was set. 4 years of college paid for. The experience of playing college football. The experience of wearing that cap and gown. Second week of his senior year, I went into his high school to get another transcript, to get another DVD, to bring him to Notre Dame in front of Coach Holtz and offer him. And his coach, when I called his coach, he said, Bob, he doesn't play football here anymore. My first thought was he had a career-ending injury. No. quit. No. He and 9 other guys were arrested at a party by Lake Michigan. There was alcohol, there was marijuana. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. The police came, the superintendent of schools. They went down. I said, Coach, this kid is a 3.9 student, 34 on the ACT, all kinds of volunteer work in the community. Do you think he did anything wrong? Coach said, absolutely not. But, Bob, I cannot say let those other 9 guys off the team and keep him because he's the star. That's not the rule at our school. The rule at our school is this. If you're arrested, you're excluded from extracurricular activities and athletics. In one night, he changed the course of his life because he was in the wrong place. One of my other daughters used to say to me, Dad, you're a spy. I said, that's right. I drive past that schoolyard. I drive past those tennis courts. I drive past the gym, wherever it is. I want to make sure that you are with the right people. And keep doing that. And sometime you're going to need a third party to do that. Maybe it's Uncle Peter. I don't know. Maybe it's the coach. Because you know what? They hear it from you every day. And it kind of sometimes goes here and goes there. I've been down that road. But keep enforcing that. Number 1, character. Number 2, academics. Number 3, play hard on every play. That will give you a chance to be recruited. A chance. Now, getting into the practicum of it. Take this little booklet out if you don't mind. Please. We talk about the 5 things you need to know, the 5 things you need to do. First of all, I see some ex-football players out here. Some of you guys don't look like wide receivers anymore. But I know you played the game. When I came to recruit you, you were a junior. You were a junior. Those days are over. College coaches that now go out to recruit guys when they're juniors are way, way behind. The head football coach at the University of Southern California, Lane Kiffin, 2 years ago in Los Angeles, offered an 8th grader in Delaware. In Delaware. Now, I know a little bit about geography. I know Los Angeles is as far as you can go that way, and Delaware is as far as you can go that way. How did he know about this young guy? He was online. He had his information online. And they initially found out about him, and then once they got into that process, they pursued it, and he actually recruited this young guy. Do I agree with that in college football right now because it's happening more and more? No. But it is the recruiting process and the culture of recruiting that all of you are dealing with at this time. People say, well, he's in the 8th grade. You know, we don't need to get started. Look, in the eyes of the NCAA, when your son completes the 8th grade, he immediately becomes a recruited student athlete. If he plays basketball, he becomes a recruited student athlete when he completes the 7th grade. Get started now. And if your son's a junior and you haven't done anything, your window of opportunity is closing, closing, closing. You need to accelerate the process. Okay? Number 2, recruiting starts with verified third-party information. Mom, you are not a verified third party. Because if I ask you, is your son a good football player? What position does he play? Oh, he's a quarterback. How good is he? Probably good as RG3. Maybe just a step below luck. I was the same way. My youngest daughter played tennis. When she was a senior in high school, I knew she could beat Venus Williams. The problem was the college coaches didn't know. Why? Because we have these love glasses on. You need to understand, a verified third party are people that coaches have gone to in the past to get good information from. I spent, as a college coach, thousands and thousands of dollars buying lists, finding out where is this player at, because there's no way I could know about all these players. Now these coaches have a luxury of just going in their office, putting in the young guy's name, and finding everything and anything about him. Another verified third party. All right? And then you look here, college coaches evaluate prospects online. I was at Elmhurst College last week, and I was talking to one of the coaches. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous liberal arts campus just west of Chicago. And they had pictures of every football player on the team. I saw, this is Elmhurst College, Oregon, California, New York, New Mexico. I said, how do you find out about all these guys? I know you don't have that in your budget to travel. He said, Coach, we're online every day. We're looking for players online every day. We evaluate them online. We can see their transcript. We can see references. We can see where they're in school, on and on. That's why we can recruit nationally. Now, these next two are critically important. Less than 1% of all high school football players get Division I scholarships. It's basically 0.8%. Less than 1%. But you know what? There are 500 schools in the country that play college football that will give your son financial aid to play the game of football and eventually wear that cap and gown that I showed you earlier. And it's not where you go to school. It's what you do with that education. I was blessed to have some great heroes in my life. But in my adult life, my hero was a guy by the name of General Cullen Powell. And he still is. Maybe one of the most respected and powerful people in the world. Who can tell me where General Cullen Powell, the great General Cullen Powell, went to college? Come on. Sir. City College in New York. Not Princeton, not Harvard, not Stanford, not Notre Dame. Give him one of those bags later. Not any of those schools. City College in New York. You've been to Chicago? Lake Street, and I think it's Wabash. Harold Washington College. Same thing. Don't get Division I-itis. If you get a letter from Ohio State one day, and the next day you get a letter from Ohio Wesleyan, treat both of those letters with equal respect because you don't know where the opportunity is going to lie at the end of the day. Think about it. You think just about in this area. I could put you guys on a bus here, and we can go to North Central. We can go to Illinois Benedictine. We can go to Elmhurst College. We can go to North Park University. On and on and on. The opportunities are marvelous. Keep an open mind. Now, number 5, your high school coach. Somebody's rattling around their chair a little bit, huh? Saying, you know what? He doesn't help us. Runs the wrong offense, runs the wrong defense. Hey, guess what? He knows that you're saying that. He knows who gathers on the 30-yard line before the game to let everybody in the world know that he knows nothing. Now, just think about it. When I go to your school, you are at work. Your son's in algebra class. Coach, how you doing? Great to see you, Bob. Tell me about this kid here. Bobby's a great kid. Good football player. He said, well, that's up to you. Look at the DVD. What kind of student is he? Here's his transcript, Bob. Pretty good kid around school. Great kid around school. How about his family? Bobby, the day that kid graduates will be one of the saddest days of my life. That was one of the most supportive, positive families I've ever dealt with. If that kid can play for you and he has grades for you, you take him. And you'll have the same experience that I had with him and his family. Guess what? That kid I'm taking. Because I may go into that school and just he and I again. Great kid, Bob. Good, yeah, he's all right. Good football player, well, here's his DVD. Good student, well, here's his transcript. How about his family? The day that family walks out the door will be the happiest day of my life. Listen, I am serious. I'm dead serious. Because my next thing is, I'm going to close my book. I'm going to say, Coach, I appreciate the information. I'll be back next year. Tell that kid to go someplace else. Because if you're a problem in Oak Lawn, you're going to be a problem in DeKalb. If you're a problem in Oak Lawn, you're going to be a problem in Ann Arbor. If you're a problem in Oak Lawn, you're going to be a problem in Carbondale, and I don't want it. And if you are a parent of a young student athlete, you go to that, see that coach, you extend your hand to that coach, and you tell that coach, I'll do anything I possibly can to make sure my son plays well in your program, and any way that I can support you, let me know. Because now you've made a friend and an ally and someone who's going to be a great reference. And if you have right now a bad relationship with your high school coach, I'm telling you, listen to me. Monday, swallow your pride and call him. Tell him you want to see him. tell him you want to put this, whatever the ill feelings are, we want to put it behind us and move forward. I want you to help me to help my son. Because one day, first of all, it's the right thing to do. Because one day, when I stick my hand out and shake hands with your coach, that may be the determiner whether I recruit your son or don't recruit your son. Are there any high school coaches in here? Junior high coaches? My hat's off to all you guys. God bless you. You're the most important coach in that young man's life. Some of you may have heard of my, remember you older guys, my brother-in-law Donnie Dufek was the captain at Michigan, was a defensive back, went and played drafted in the original draft of the Seattle Seahawks, the original draft. After 10 years, he was the only original Seattle Seahawk still on the team. And he was on television. He was on ESPN. I love my brother Donnie. He's like a brother to me. And they were asking him about all these great coaches he played for. And they said, Donnie, who was the most influential coach in your life? He said, Coach Metcalf at Jackson Middle School in South Bend, Indiana. Just like you guys. That is a testimony. Because if these guys don't have your respect and you don't have their interest in mind, the chances of your son moving up the way he should move up are just not going to happen. You respect your high school coach. And as I said before, if you got a problem, go see him on Monday. Now, 5 things you need to do. All right, develop a game plan. You know what? Some of you, and I hate to say it, will spend more time planning a vacation to Lake Geneva than you will planning for your son's college education. I know it. I've seen it. Number 2, athletic and academic resume online. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's a slam dunk. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute so that those college coaches can go in their office and see your son every day all over the country. Number 3, create a winning highlight skills video. Now, I've been at events, and you'll go out to your car, and there'll be a little card up there. And it'll be like, for $300, we can make a great video of your son. You don't need that. I don't need to see him walk on the field with the homecoming queen. I don't need to hear the theme from Rocky or the theme from Rudy. All I need is 7 or 8 highlight plays, offensively, defensively, and then his best game, either with a spot shadow or an arrow, that he's easily identifiable. But each position requires different highlight skills to be shown, and you'll need coaching in that. And we'll provide that also. Now, you need to contact 50 to 100 schools. I'd say you need to contact about 300 schools. And you can get around in a car or a bus and you can drive forever trying to get to all these schools. It's not going to happen. But when those schools can go in their office and watch you play, see your transcript, see your profile, see your contact information, plus you can see if they looked at you, you've got really something special going. Now, this is not a 4-year decision. This is a 40-year decision. I want to show you something here real quick. Give me that helmet. You guys all see this? What's it saying here? Let me help you out. Guaranteed for 4 years. Guaranteed for 4 years. What's here? Oh, wait a second. You see this? Uh-huh. You know what it says in here? Guaranteed for a lifetime. Now, you've got that little yellow sheet there. You're going to fill that yellow sheet out now. And I'm not going to let you leave. And then that will give you an opportunity to receive a phone call in 3 or 4 days and an email in 3 or 4 days, and you will be able to set up a website for your son that looks like that website on the last page that we have here. And if I were coaching college football again and I could walk into my office and look at something like this, I would be a happy, happy camper. You fill out that little yellow sheet, you're going to rip off the bottom, you're going to keep that, you're going to get the email, you're going to get the phone call, and that little yellow sheet right here, okay, may be the key, the passport, call it what you want, to one day your son wearing that uniform with that cap and gown.